Hi, welcome to our daily encounter. Today in our reading, we read about Hezekiah. And Hezekiah was a good king. It says in chapter 29 and verse 2 of 2nd Chronicles that he did right in the sight of the Lord according to all that his father David had done. And we definitely see that played out in the chapters that we read today, because we see reformation, restoration, and revival take place in Judah because of Hezekiah. And it starts with the temple. He repairs the doors of the temple. He cleanses the temple from all the idols that were in there. He reconsecrates the utensils inside the temple, or has people go in and consecrate these things. And then he restores the worship in the court of the temple. He has the worshipers come out singing with instruments. He also has them offering up burnt offerings and sin offerings. And then we see this story of him sending messengers out, that he is going to have the Passover observed. And he's inviting not only the people of Judah, but also the people in the northern tribe in Israel to come and observe the Passover, which was something that had not been done to that extreme, or to that point, since Solomon. And then once they observed the Passover, they observed the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which was normally a 7-day feast, but they continue it on for another 7 days. And then they go out throughout all Judah and begin to destroy all the idols found in the land. And so we see a very thorough reformation of Judah. And what this brings to our minds is the need for us sometimes to strike up revival within our hearts, to turn back to the Lord, because it's so easy for us to drift away from God, especially with the good life that we have here in the United States. And maybe sometimes we have it a little too easy, to where we begin to drift, and we lose our dependency on God. Maybe we begin to build idols in our lives, things that we put either equal to God or above God. And we drift further and further away from Him. And sometimes we need a Hezekiah in our lives. We need someone to wake us up. We need someone to say, look, it's time to return back to the Lord. It's time to make Him the center of our lives once again. And I believe that this process that Hezekiah went through in bringing reformation, restoration, and revival is similar to what the pattern that we might follow if we want to have those same things in our own lives, in our own spiritual life. Notice how it starts with the temple. The temple, the innermost part of Judah, the very center and very heart of Judah was there in the temple in Jerusalem. And if we're going to have a proper revival in our hearts, it's got to start right there in the heart, in the very depths of our being. It's got to start from the inside. As Jesus once said, cleanse the inside of the cup, and the outside of the cup will be clean also. And that's where revival begins. It begins by turning our hearts back to God, giving Him our devotion, giving Him our love once again, and cleansing our hearts from all the idols that are within our heart. Just as they had to cleanse the temple from the idols, we've got to get rid of anything that's in our hearts that robs love away from God, that keeps us from being able to love the Lord with all of our heart, with all of our soul. And so we have to start on the inside. And then once we have the inside taken care of, then we begin to move outward. As they began to offer up the sacrifices, and they began the temple worship and things like that, then that's a time in which we can enter into worship as well with the Lord, and begin communion with Him by just worshiping Him, saying prayers of love towards Him, and even singing songs to Him, whether it's by ourselves or getting together with other people, or both, actually preferably both. Just get back into the habit of just worshiping Him with all of our strength and all of our being. And then once we do that, then we've got to look around at our lives and begin to think, what can I do in my life practically to bring about revival? For Judah, it was reestablishing the Passover. For you and I, it might be, getting back into Bible study or going back to church again. It could be an array of different things, but there are outward things that we can do to help us promote the revival within. And then this goes out even further. If there's things in our lives that are stumbling blocks to us, that we go out and we destroy those things or get rid of those things to the best of our ability. As they left the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, they went out and destroyed all the idols in Judah. And we have to look around in our lives and see, what is it that's causing me to stumble that I need to get rid of? I'm reminded of what Jesus said. Woe to the world because of stumbling blocks. It's inevitable that stumbling blocks will come from the world, but woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes. And he began to say, if your eye offends you, pluck it out. If your right hand offends you, cut it off. In other words, the point that he was making is that whatever extreme measures you got to take to get rid of the things in your life that are causing you to stumble, that's what you must do. We have to look around and see what these are. It could be different things for different people. Some people can be involved in certain activities and be fine. Others cannot. But it takes wisdom. It takes prayer. It takes introspection to know what it is that we need to get rid of. But we need to have a heart to do that and pray to the Lord that He will help us to do that. So as you do your reading today, let's just think about that. Think about sparking up a revival in your own life and in your own heart. And kind of follow this pattern that is seen here in 2 Chronicles with Hezekiah. And make today a new day, a new start, a new beginning before the Lord. And let's turn our hearts back to Him, to wholeheartedly be devoted to Him, to begin to love Him once again with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. With that, I thank you guys for listening in today. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. God bless.